Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio. So today, let's see what we can find to do. I noticed when I was looking through last episode that the plastic was still a big problem and there's some research being done. I tried to fix it, I believe, last episode, but it didn't really work. So today we're going to be doing some more work on that, among other things, of course. So let's make our way over to the oil train so that we can go and fix the problem at source. So I have to just sort of stand around and wait for a bit. Decide to gather up some materials that I've run low on. I always sort of forget about stone and stone bricks and things like that because you don't need them that often, but then you occasionally do, and it never seem to have them on you. But anyway, going over, I can see that the plastic is being loaded very slowly. There's not much being produced. I increased the coal supply last time to make sure that wasn't the problem, but unfortunately there is also a problem with oil, as I originally suspected. There's just not enough being refined, and so what I do is build another oil refinery so I can stick that next to the current one, and we can double our production of like petroleum gas and so on. So I just put that down, and then I need to make a bunch of underground belts and indeed overground belts in order to connect everything up to the system. Luckily I designed the current system with expansion in mind, so it's not too hard to add on the bits. I just need to use some underground belts to extend things out. I do need to tweak the a little bit of like to the oil thing to make that work, but it's easy enough. And then we just extend out the pipes for the 3 different oil fractions, connect those up, and there we go. We've got twice as much oil production as we had before. Well, not oil production, oil fraction production, whatever you want to call that. So now that's going, that should hopefully help. But of course what it means is that there's more oil being consumed, so what we want to do now is go over and put in a few more pump jacks in the last few oil deposits that we have right next to the base. I don't know if there's any more deposits nearby. It's difficult to tell from the map for me because in the mode that I make my narrations in, the resolution is crap, but maybe you can see. I imagine there's some that aren't too far away that we can eventually expand to once we need to. Maybe we could use some oil trains, they're always fun. But anyway, just getting all this hooked up to the pipe system. It takes ages to actually craft all the equipment for this. The pump jacks take 1,000,000 years, and then the underground pipes take ages because you need to make 10 pipes for each one. But we get that all going, and hopefully that should keep the oil system running for a long time to come, and more importantly running at a level that is more useful to us, running enough so that we have enough plastic supply to keep the advanced circuits going at full pelt. Though of course we can always we might want to like extend the advanced circuit production at some point, and of course we need a lot more plastic for that. There's definitely a need and potential for expansion in like terms of like adding in more chemical plants and things like that. Anyway, I'm back in base now, and I'm just following along this this latest delivery of plastic. There was 60 in the train, which is good. A lot more than before. It was like 30 before, so that's a definite improvement there. And so I just watch it as it goes along to see how far it gets into the advanced circuit production, because the further it gets, obviously, the better. We want it to get to the end and build up if possible, but you can see that it's not getting there, unfortunately. The assemblers are all taking it before it can like go to all of them, so we do not have we don't have the system working at full capacity, but of course the capacity is entirely determined by how many assemblers I decide to build, so more is always better in terms of production rates. And just because it's not running as fast as it could be doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, really. So I've decided to leave that for now and just sort of see how things go there and work on the next thing. And yes, you've guessed right, I'm finally building some proper train stuff after all this time. Episode 12 of Railworld. I mean, we do have 2 trains, but really I should have been setting this up sooner. So what we have here is a station, or well, a set of stations. Is going to be the sort of the central hub of our rail network that will now expand out into the wilderness. So I'm just sort of measuring things in terms of like track pieces and stuff. I decided to make it, I believe, 15 straight pieces long and have it like that, and then I just do some quick calculating, add in some random gubbins to work out the gaps that I want to have between the each station to make sure that I can unload everything properly and with speed. So there we go, and that's my sort of, this was how much space I'm going to give myself. I wonder if maybe I should have given like another another little bit, because things are a bit cramped there, but we'll work it out. And of course, as time goes on, a lot of changes will probably occur to the system and how it's operated. But of course, first of all, we need to like set up the initial operation. So well, at the moment, I'm still setting up all of the actual lines. So you can see I've worked out the spacing, I've worked out the length. So each of these will be able to house a train with 2 carriages. That's the sort of size that I'm going to go for, either 1 or 2, depending on like what they're delivering and where from and so on. And then we need to get these all connected up to one section. These are all basically, the station is going to be, well, the set of stations is going to be sort of added onto the side of the main line, but I've not built the main line yet because I'm sort of fitting that to the stations. So you can see things are taking shape, and you should probably be able to guess how it's going to work. All of these stations come out from the main line. I do have to run off and grab some more materials. A lot of steel gets used up, and indeed raw stone as well, which is used for very little really. So I have to go grab more of those to carry on with the work. Make my way back down so I can craft some more equipment now. I'll get some stations up just so that they're in place. They're going to all get names later. Well, they have names of backers at the moment and so on, but because this is a big professional operation, I'm going to give all of them names and sort of designations, so there'll be like dedicated iron delivery stations and cool stuff like that. And anyway, there's a bunch of trees here, so I'm now just going to run around and clear all these out for a while and get a ridiculous amount of wood to just store away. And I suppose I could maybe I can go over to the steam power area. Oh, there was a rock that I just shot to pieces as well. I might need to go over to the steam production area and use some of the wood to add to the buffer that is in place in case the coal runs out. Technically the buffer is sort of useless, because the only way I'm ever going to know about the materials running out is if I actually go over and look, and the only reason I'd go over and look is if it's been a really, really long time or the power's gone. So really it's just I don't know what it is, but it's sort of pointless. But anyway, I'm continuing to expand along here, and it's time to actually start building components of the main line. The way it's going to work is it's going to be a 2-way system, which means that the junctions need to be loops. So I start constructing the very first loop that basically all trains will navigate through in order to arrive in one of the stations back home. And I'm in the middle of building this when I realise I've actually messed it up entirely and have to shift the thing like sideways 1 and up 1 to make it sort of work in the most efficient sort of way. I think actually that I'm going to have to change this again in the next episode based on like sort of the dimensions of other things around the place, and like making sure that the line is straight, because if it isn't straight it's an absolute pain to deal with. But anyway, I get the loop done and I extend along the first proper straight stretch of line, and this is basically what the station section is built off. So I just run these along here until I run out of materials once again, clearing out trees as I go, and then it's time to go back to the base. And I believe I leave that for a while now and do some more work on it later on. But anyway, I've gone back to the base, dump all of the ridiculous amount of wood that I've gathered, and decide to sort out the oil, the coal supplies, because it's a while since I did that and starting to run down. Of course, in last episode I completely filled the iron chest, so it's got a lot of time left, but I might as well just fill it up again before I forget. Also, these steel furnaces run out of coal quicker than the full chest will. I also do some resupplying on the copper, and I decide to go grab yet more coal. I always seem to underestimate how much I need. Probably because I don't factor the copper into account. Even though the copper doesn't use that much coal, it does use some coal, and so I need to set some aside to refill that with. So I restock on some stone there. I think I've got 2 stacks of it now, because I'm gonna be making a lot more tracks. And there I go, building another stack of 50 or 2. I think it's 2 actually. And then I go and put some more coal into the copper. But you notice I keep quite a lot on me, because of course I'm working on a train station here. There's going to be trains, and the trains are going to need some fuel. So I've got some of that ready in my inventory for when that happens. So I've made my way back over to the production area to see how things are going, and you can see that the plastic is still nowhere near filling out the entire system, and I'm not happy with this, especially considering that it's severely limiting the production of modules, because of course that's the sort of like the main thing that's consuming them at the moment. It's sort of the last thing along the line. I suppose blue science also consumes them, and the odd other thing, I'm not even sure actually what does use them. But anyway, I do have some modules now, some level 2 efficiency modules, so I go and put them into furnaces, because the best thing to do with level 2 efficiency modules is to put them into things that have 2 module slots. Just as the best thing to do with the level 1s is to put things that have 3 or 4 module slots. But anyway, I'm just sort of having a look at all the systems running here while I wait for the oil train, because I've decided to go back over to the plastic production and see if I can help improve it some more. So I have a look at the carriage, and I find that actually it turns out the train is sort of the problem here, because it's being filled up as fast as the inserter can, and then it leaves as soon, like before the inserter can finish. So 60 is actually the limit that the train can have in it. So I extend the time that it's in the station from 10 to 15 seconds, meaning it gets up to 90. And I decide that what I'm going to need to do is put in some more inserters, because the limiting factor is the loading rate of the inserters here. So by putting 2 in, I immediately double the rate at which the plastic can go in. And you can see there it gets to just under 120 there, so that's good. And going back over to the chemical plant, now the limiting factor is the rate at which the inserters take the plastic out of the plant. Once I double that up, it means that the limiting factor is how fast the chemical plant can produce it. Of course, that is also limited by the amount of petroleum gas that is available, which is still not as much as I would like it to be. It's very complicated, this, in a way, though it's all like one thing leads to another rather than being some sort of really convoluted. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I have another look at the train, see how that's going. And I decide that what we should do is increase the rate of oil refinery so that we can get some more petroleum gas and allow us to produce plastic faster. And we'll probably put in another chemical plant soon enough as well, just to make sure that it can go as fast as possible. But anyway, because of sort of the positioning of these tracks, which are still supposed to be a temporary feature, at least to some degree, they actually sort of block where I want to put the refinery. So I decide to sort of hop the track along a bit. And what that allows me to do is leave a gap where a future refinery will go once the track has moved, without sort of messing things up and having really big gaps. So anyway, with that done, we can connect up this, and in the distant future, when I completely change the role of this particular train, this track will move, and we'll be able to put in the something. My mind went blank. Well, that's no good. I'm supposed to be doing videos here. I'll just move on. I can put in another refinery once I've moved the tracks. That was the thing. Okay, so I'm having a look now at the chemical plants, and what I find is that whenever sulfur is being produced, it basically it takes up all of the petroleum gas before it can get to plastic production, which is no good. But while there isn't any sulfur being produced, plastic production is running at full pelt, which is a good thing. But anyway, I have a look at the actual fractions of oils, and it looks like light oil is currently increasing while petroleum gas is still pretty low. So I decide to increase the rate at which the light oil is cracked into petroleum gas in the hope that that will help and increase the rate of petroleum gas and thus the rate of plastic production. So anyway, with that done, I decide to hop back on the train and make my way home. Get a bit of science done there, and I research inserter stack size, because of course that's quite an important thing considering what just happened. So getting back home, I have a look at the rate at which the plastic is flowing now, and the sort of limiting factor now actually is the inserter unloading it at the other end. It's because it's one inserter taking it from a chest, putting it onto a conveyor belt, so there is no stack size bonus. And going back to the advanced circuit production, you can see it's very, very close, but it's not quite getting all of the assemblers running at once. But once again, it's not that much of a problem, honestly. It's pretty good, so I can't really complain. So anyway, the next thing I decided to do is some work on modules, and I've decided that this system here is rubbish for making the processing units. It was a terrible idea, and I should change it entirely. And I decide, well, I come up with an idea for an expandable, what do you call it? A scalable production system for it. and it's a bit fiddly because the space that I've given myself isn't big enough. I never intended to put the processing units between conveyor belts and modules. It was supposed to be like on the end of modules or something weird, but that's a terrible idea. So the system's a bit interesting, but that sort of makes it cooler, I suppose. So the pipes go in. So, well, I've got 2 here. It'll make more sense if I ever add any more, but the way it works is there's a gap of 3 between each assembler, and that contains either pipes putting in the sulfuric acid, or inserters taking the processing units out. And I imagine if I did extend it, it would look fairly cool, because it's a bit unique in its way of doing things. And in fact, there is, I realized in post basically now that there is a more efficient way of setting it up, but I don't know, maybe I'll change it in future or something, just for, I don't know, efficiency or whatever. But anyway, with that done, we have a sort of better production of processing units there, because we've now got 2 assemblers working on them for starts. And also, because I've changed the direction that the supplies come from for level 2 and 3 modules, it means that now in all 3 levels of modules, the efficiency module is favoured in terms of who gets the materials, which is just the way I like it. So that's all good, and I might use that setup in future, because usually what ends up happening is like productivity modules get favoured for level 2 and 3, which I don't like because I don't really use them very much. But anyway, what you can see I'm doing now is crafting a bunch of level 3 assemblers using a bunch of speed modules that have been produced, and I'm going around and replacing all of the assemblers that aren't level 3 with level 3. And then what I'm doing is putting 3 effectivity modules into each one, so that they have the maximum, the minimum power usage that they would have. So anyway, I'm now, unfortunately, to make the assemblers takes quite a lot of materials, a lot of iron and gears, so I spend a while gathering all those up and then get back to it. And we start to run out of speed modules as well. They aren't produced that fast because my system is fairly small and weak and slow. Sort of the way I do module systems means that eventually I will get all of the modules I need. It just might take a while, and it'll get there in the end. But anyway, we run out of speed modules to do any more there, so we go off and do other things. I forget what other things we do, actually. I always watch these videos through once to remember what happens next, so that I can sort of present it better, but I've entirely forgotten. Now I'm looking at the advanced circuit production. I'm just sort of inspecting the various production systems that we've got going on, making sure that everything is flowing well and so on. And then I make my way over to the smelting area and the train and so on. I decide to get some more coal. Yet again, that happens a lot nowadays. Well, I suppose it's always happened a lot. Or, well, when it didn't, everything ran out all the time. You can see I'm getting a bunch of random bits of science done, and we are very rapidly running out of science that doesn't involve alien artifacts now. And while we do have alien artifacts, I'm not in the mindset yet of doing that. I like to get all of the blue science stuff done before I move on to alien science. So I suppose it's not really necessary, but it's, I don't know, it's a neater way of doing things or something. But it means we're approaching the late game, and frankly, I'm not ready. I mean, I haven't even set up the rail empire yet. Things are moving too fast, which is a bit annoying, really, because I want to sort of make use of the rail stuff as much as I can. But anyway, what I've done now is I've come down here. Well, I'm just messing about with rails and stuff and trying to sort of work out the positioning, and I realise that I may need to sort of shift things along by a square or two to make everything work properly. But anyway, I've hopped on board this train to go down to the new iron mining outpost, because as the supplies dwindle in the old one, we rely more and more on the iron coming from here, so you got to make sure it's running nicely. And then there's a few problems. There was a mining drill that run out, a mining drill that wasn't connected by conveyor belts, which was a bit of a miss, or whatever you'd call it. And then also I decided to tweak the conveyor belts where the iron was being loaded in. Everything's still running absolutely fine there, though, so there's no real problems. I was just sort of a bit of general maintenance as the episode starts to come to a close. Make my way back to base and have another inspection of everything. Circuits are still running at full speed after an entire episode, and advanced circuits are still slightly slow, but it's not much of a problem. And modules, there's a bunch more to grab there. It's good that we're getting a lot of level 2 effectivity modules now. Efficiency modules, the name has changed. and I can start putting them in a lot more things like smelters and so on and so forth. Anyway, with that done, I decide to wander over back to the middle, and I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.